Two important and practical tools in Navisworks software actually are Append and Merge. Up to here, we've just used Append a couple of times, and we told you that we can use Append to add the files into the current file. As an example, you can open the first file that you want from the path that you put the files in them. As an example, in WC. Let me actually open a structural file in here, and if I want to add the models, I don't know, mechanic, HVAC, electrical, and such, these examples to this model, we can use Append in here. So the rest of the files will be selected in here, and by clicking on open, actually all of the files will be added to the current file that we have in here. So, but next to that, we have merge. That is really important and a practical option for us. So let's assume that as a kind of a BIM manager or BIM coordinator, and right now, for example, you've just collected the model and you've created the kind of model in here. You know, with due attention to the scale of the project that you have in here, you might want to send the NWD file, for example, for different people or to different people, and you want them to check the model and different, for example, things about the model, and they will check, for example, markups, clash detectives for these animations, I don't know, and scale and everything. Yes, if you were, for example, give the responsibility to each one, they want, for example, to save them on NW file, and we'll just send them to you. As a kind of head of the team, you want, for example, to actually associate all of the files in your model. You can use merge. Yes, this is really unique actually tool for example, working of the projects that, for example, many people could use Navisworks file. For example, maybe as a kind of BIM coordinator, for example, you're doing your model for yourself, and for example, you exported it as a kind of NWD and you've sent it to the contractor. For sure, or generally the contractor, by checking, it has some, for example, ideas about that, for example, by markup or, for example, viewpoint, animation, or each other, for example, tools that they are existing in Navisworks. For example, it will save it on the model and will return it to you, send it to you back, and it wants you to have a kind of rechecking on that. For example, you check the ideas of them. So in these situations, actually, we are able, for example, instead of, for example, changing all of the model that we have spent a lot of time on it, and we want to append, we can just use the merge. Yes, just it brings us the information. And for example, if the geometry or other things are repetitive, they will be deleted automatically. As an example, we have a file in here. Let me open a file, the last file, of course. Open NWF and introduction. A Navisworks file will be opened in here that includes disciplines that they are related to a structure, I don't know, architecture, electrical, HVAC, piping. You want to send this file for 3 different teams that each team has a different duty. That, for example, one of them is, for example, for design reviewing. For example, checking. One team is just focusing on clash detective. Another one is focusing on 4D. For example, another one is, I don't know, working for a script and animation and such these examples, for example. And for example, any other teams. Yes, we want to get the models from them, and we want to mix, for example, and enter just the information of them, not geometry. So we need at first to send the NWD file to them. So let me just select it. Let me name it, for example, coordination model as a kind of title. And we get sure that, for example, maybe reset is inactivated. Maybe saved is inactivated. If you remember, we told you that if you just activate it and you just send the NWD to them, they can't have, for example, NWD save. So let me inactivate them that we have NWF. They can't save it as a kind of NWF. When it is opened, when the save window is open, it will go in NWD or any kind of folder that you would like. So let me create a kind of folder like as an example, team A underscore, for example, design as an example, review. And the name of the file actually is the same, save. So let me click on new. So the file that, for example, you exported right now by format of NWD, this file actually will be sent to the people that you want. Instead of the team, let me name it like just as the coordination model. Copy. And then let's go here, coordination model. So we will go for this file and we'll just send this file to the teams that we want. Yes, you know, right now each team will go on open and clicks on the open and the NWD file that we've sent to them. They will open that as an example. Let me open it. You know, this is, for example, for team A. Team A has a duty as an example. It wants to review the model. Yes, we'll go to save point. Let me delete it for now. That we'll talk about them later, of course. Then let's go for them. Right click. If we don't have any kind of windows here, you can go to viewpoint by clicking on this option. You can open this window. Let me just delete all of the viewpoints that they are default of the software. And we'll go, for example, in here review. As an example, here we don't have window. You see, we'll create a kind of markup. Every markup that we create, automatically a view will be created. Let me name it coordination team 1 -1. Yes, so this is it. Let me just rotate it. As an example here, for example, let's consider command copy. So here 2, and again we'll go for the next one. For example, in this space, we'll go inside it. Here we will create a kind of markup. We'll name it 3. So it is 1, 2, 3. So this team has this duty and it did it. And it, for example, and the number of these elements or explanations. And for example, it might be a lot. Yes, and we will click on save. Yes, so because we don't have the maybe resaved for it, they will have the possibility for resave. Yes, so here underscore team 1. So and save. So again, we'll click on new and let's click on new. We will have the NWD. We'll open that again. So it is. Let's consider this team number 2. It wants to do the clash detective in here. Yes, at test, like here. Let me click on the first one, and from this part, actually, structural file as an example with electrical. The second one, structure, for example, with HVAC. The third one, actually, structure with plumbing. Just, I think it suffices. Let me just actually click on update. All of them are actually checked here and here, like this. And let's go back right now to select. The thing that this team did it again, it saves it. So we will just name it NWF2 team 2. Save it. Again, new, open, and NWD actually, the file of the coordination model will be opened again. And let's assume that, for example, with the third team, and we want to, for example, go for timing, and for example, the module of timeliner will be open. And for example, the default is based on, for example, mass layer, for example, and everything is here, and we have some defaults in here just based on defaults. Yes, and let's go back in here, and again, this is the third team. After doing that, it will save it, and this is the third team in here. So let's save it. So after actually the teams did these actions, actually the model will be resent to us. So if I click on append, and for example, I will append the first team in here, Let's go for here the window selection screen here, and again if I just click on append, the second model will be added next to that, for example the clash and these examples. So in these situations we told you that the geometry is repetitive, so we just need the information of the Navisworks. So new, again append, team 1 will be selected. So right now actually instead of actually using append, we will use merge. Let's click on merge, second team. You see, just we have the information. Clash was added to that. Timeline is empty. Merge. Let's go for team number 3. That it had to do the timeliner. Yes. So because we have, despite we have the same model, but we had the same information. All of them were added to that. If we had any kind of repetitive item, they were deleted like this. And by this actually way, very easily you're able actually to get the information and data from the different teams, and you can just add them or for example mix them with a model under the condition that you're working on just one project, and you can just save a lot of time. That for example you can actually give the responsibility of every part to one team, that the work happens really with high speed, fast, and better, more careful. And it's really important in big projects.